Okay, so let's get started. Now we are in section 2.2. So far we know how to arrange the data set in systematic way. Uh, last class we saw how to make a frequency distribution table. Now in this section we are going to look at the way or display the data in terms of pictures and diagrams. Here we are going to look at three popular displays. So the first one is histogram. So let's look at about the histogram. Histogram is like a bar graph, but only thing is there's no gap between two blocks when you draw a histogram. But in bar graph, you may have gaps between two blocks. But in histogram, um, there is no gap between two adjacent blocks. Okay, so if you look at the last example we had in 2.1, so we had the frequency distribution table. So this is the same problem here. I have copied from there. So now let's look at how to draw histogram by using the frequency distribution table. Okay, so now remember, so here we have two columns now, the class boundaries and the frequency. So we are going to use these two columns to draw histogram. So to draw histogram, first of all, we need to have two axes, x and y. Okay, so choose two axes. Normally we choose our data values in x-axis, and our frequencies will be in y-axis. So if you look at our class boundaries, we will take these values as our x values. Okay, so the smallest class boundary is 99.5. Therefore, I'm starting my the x values from 99.5 to all the way up to 134.5. So I'm plotting those points on your x-axis. Okay, then look at your frequency column and plot these values along your y-axis. The maximum value is 18. That's why we have up to 18. After that, look at the classes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 classes. That means you need to have 7 blocks. Okay. So then you need to draw one by one. So my first block says that the value is from 99.5 to 104.5. So I'm just drawing the block between 99.5 to 104.5 with the frequency value y value is 2. So I'm looking at my y value as 2, and I'm just drawing a box. Okay, like that. So you can keep on continuing and draw all the blocks according to your class boundaries. Right. After drawing the histogram, if you want, so you could write the corresponding frequencies at the top of your blocks here. So my first block says that the frequency is 2, therefore I'm writing here 2. And next one is 8, then next frequency is 18, then 13, 7, 1, and 1. Okay, so this is my histogram for the given frequency distribution table. So the second display method is about frequency polygon. To draw frequency polygon, we should know one more thing, which is midpoints. These midpoints are calculated by using your class boundaries. If you know the class boundaries, the midpoint is nothing but the average of these two values. Okay, So to find the first midpoint, you take these two values and to find the average. We know how to find the average. Add those two values and divide by 2. So therefore, my first midpoint is 99.5 plus 104.5 over 2. Simplify those and you will get 102. So in that similar way, you could find all the midpoints for the given class boundaries. Once you know the midpoints, take these values as your x values and the frequency will be your y value. So then you have to plot the graphs against these two values. Then you will get a frequency polygon. So if you look at that, my x values are now starting from 102 to 132. So 102 to 132. But the only thing is, you plot those seven, the points. But to finish your curve, you have to, end your curve with this endpoint. So you have to have the same space, whatever you have the class with. Take one more space to the right and to the left to finish the curve. And right. So therefore, remember to draw a frequency polygon, you have to start from x-axis and all the way draw the graph and finish at x-axis with the same space. Okay. So first plot the points, then check your ruler and join them. So this is the frequency polygon. Okay. So the third one is about ogive. To draw ogive, we need to use the cumulative frequency distribution. Remember in last class, in last section, we saw how to make a cumulative frequency table. Use those values, you know, on your table to complete these values. Okay. So I'm using the previous table we had, that is my cumulative frequency table. I'm using this table to draw ogive. So remember, to draw ogive, we need to have a cumulative frequency table. Okay. So we did that. Okay, so these all describe about the steps how to draw ogive. So this is ogive. So take your x-axis as your first column. That is my x values, and your cumulative frequency is going to be your y values. And plot the points against these two values. The next point will be these two, and so on. So if you plot those points, so you will get like this, and after plotting the points, take your ruler and join them. You will get ogive. Okay. So ogive will be like increasing curve. It's always going upwards. Okay. So if you want, you could compare this ogive with the current situation. So if you check the COVID data, right, the number of deaths, number of deaths will be given in this kind of trend or curve. So if you look at the data and the graphs, so you will see that the total number of deaths by the particular date is given by like this ogive. Yeah, because we are adding all the number of deaths day by day, so it's kind of accumulating, right? All the number of deaths. So basically, we are finding the cumulative frequency. So that's what you will find a sort of similar curve for the number of total deaths from the COVID data. Okay. So remember, to draw all three, we need to have frequency distribution table. Once you have frequency distribution table, it is very easy for us to display the things. Okay. So then we could describe about our the data set by looking at the histogram. So these are the several scenarios I have taken here. If you look at your first histogram, remember this is kind of regular shape, right? So if you draw a curve on these, the blocks, curve is like a symmetry, right? So it's kind of a bell-shaped curve. That is why this kind of distribution is called the bell-shaped distribution. Okay. Now, if you look at this histogram, if you draw a curve along these blocks, approximately all the values are sort of similar values, right? That is what this kind of, the distribution is called a uniform distribution. If you could draw a curve on this histogram, so this is like increasing trend, but like a J shape, right? That is why this distribution is called the J-shaped distribution. So this is about the reversed J. And if you look at this one, okay, remember this curve change a peak value. After that, it's decreasing, but most of the data values are now left to this peak, right? Left side. Sorry, the right side. Right side. That is why this is called the right skewed. So you have more data on the right side. But if you look at this curve, now this is another way. Most of the data values is left to the the peak. Therefore, this is called left skewed. So in another word, if you look at this curve, these two curves, the one side has a long, like a tail, right? We call this as a right tail or right skew. So this is like a left tail or left skew. The next one, if you could draw a graph, now you will see two peaks here. That is why which is called a bimodal distribution because of two uh, peaks. This one, if you draw a curve, now you will have like a U shape, right? That is why this is called a U-shaped distribution. These are the some scenarios you will see after drawing the histogram. So this is all about, you know, the distribution of the data sets. So this will give you kind of idea about your data set, right? Okay. Now I will show you how to use the calculator to draw histograms or frequency polygons. So I'm using TI 83 plus throughout this course. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to use how to use the calculator to draw histograms. Okay, okay. So remember, we have no frequency distribution table. So I'm going to use my frequency distribution table to draw a histogram. Okay, let us look at our frequency distribution table. So this is my distribution table. Okay, so to draw the histogram, I'm going to use my midpoints and the frequency. My midpoints is x, so I'm taking my midpoints x values to enter into my calculator columns. So please follow these steps. Go to stat, then edit, then you will see there are a lot of columns. So I'm going to enter my all the midpoints or x values into L1 column, and my frequency is going to be my L2 column. Okay, so let us enter those values. So where's my table? I'm going to use this table. Okay, taking my calculator and I'm going to start. You see number one, edit, enter, and I have already entered so many values, right? Exactly, I have entered these values already. So you can go and if you want, I could show you how to enter. So let me start from the beginning. So I'm just clearing all the values for time being. Okay. So I'm going to enter my midpoints value through this L1 column. So let us enter one by one. So if you look at your first midpoint, which is 102, so I'm going to enter 102 there. And next midpoint is 107 and 112, 17, 122, 127, and 132. So first I'm entering all the midpoints through my L1 column, right? Now enter all the frequency values into L2 column. So my first frequency is 2, 8, 18, 13, 7, 1, and 1. Okay, so I'm going to use these two values to draw my histogram. So now go to the window. First, I need to set up my window display. So this is the dimension, we have to set so to get the clear picture on your window. Remember, my midpoints values are starting from 102. So these are my x values midpoint. So therefore, I'm choosing my minimum x values minimum x value as 100, and the maximum I'm choosing 134 because you see the midpoint is 132, right? So if you want to, you could choose any number. Okay, so I'm choosing here 134, and the x scale I'm fixing as 5 because my class width is 5, so I'm choosing x scale as my class width. And y is my frequency value. My smallest value is 1, but I'm starting from 0, and I'm keeping my y max, frequency max, as 20. And y scale I'm keeping as 5, and x as I'm keeping the default value, which is 1. So first of all, you need to set the window according to your data values. Okay, now I need to come out of this screen, so you need to go and press second with quit. So now I'm out. Now I need to set up my plot. So now you have to go to let me write down here again. So after entering all the data values, now again uh, set the window. This one I just explained. The next one, again go to stats. So now I need to go to step plot. Okay, how do you go to step plot? To go to step plot, you see here the right over there, the first key, very first key of your calculator, that is step plot. So press second button, wait step. Now I'm choosing plots. There are several plots here. That means you could draw four graphs on one screen. But anyway, I'm choosing graph number 1, plot 1, for my histogram. So choose that, and choose the type of your graph. So we are looking for histogram. So it is number 3. Enter. And the important thing is X list and the frequency. So remember, X list is my X values, midpoints. I have entered all the midpoints values in my L1 column. So you have to keep here L1. But for the frequency, now remember, I entered all the frequency into L2 column. So you need to change this to L2, right? How do you change? You see L2 here, number 2. But you need to press with the yellow button, right? Because L2 is here. So I'm pressing second button with L2, right? So make sure that you are changing that the frequency value. Let me write down that also. So choose the plot. I'm choosing number 1, and I'm choosing the histogram. That is number 3, right? Then after that, remember my X list is L1 and my frequency is my L2. Okay, so change those two values. So now I have set up all the things here, and again I need to come out of this again, second and bond. That's it. Now you simply graph it. So you will get a histogram. So if you look at this picture, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, seven blocks. So if you look at the picture we have drawn here, the very first picture exactly same, right? So if you want to, check the values for this each block, you could click the trace button here, and it will give you, the corresponding of frequencies for the, particular block or box. Okay, so you could move your cursor either left or right to get, the exact value of your frequency. Okay, so that's it. So this is my histogram. Okay, so let's move to the second graph now. So we are going to look at how to draw a frequency polygon. To draw frequency polygon, again, I need to know the midpoints and the frequency. So we already have entered these values into our calculator. So we are going to use the same values. Therefore, I'm using the same value. So let's pick on my calculator, and I'm going to draw now frequency polygon. So you need to go to the step plot, and now I'm going to change my type of the graph. Now I'm going to draw the frequency polygon, right? So it is the second one. So choose the second one now. Okay. So remember, remaining all are going to be same. So the window setup, I'm using the same data values, so I'm not changing anything. And for the data values I entered already, again, I'm using the same values, so I'm not going to change, right? So I'm keeping those data values as it is. And now, okay, so you just come out of this window. Now let us try to graph those. Okay, this is my frequency polygon. If you look at your frequency polygon here, we have drawn. Okay, now we see how to make ogive by using the calculator. Remember, to draw ogive, you should know the cumulative frequency, right? Okay, so you need to make one more additional column in your calculator, the third column about the cumulative frequency. So I'm taking my calculator and I'm going to make the L3 column, right? The third column for cumulative frequency. So you could do in two ways. First, you could type, all the values manually because we already have the cumulative frequency table. Suppose if you do not have cumulative frequency table, then you could find the cumulative values automatically by using the frequency values, right? I will show you how to find the automatically these values. So first go to L3, highlight that value, okay? So now go to second step. It means I'm going to list and choose the second option, OPS. Then come to the sixth one, which is the cumulative sum. So that means, so we are going to add L3 as the cumulative sum of my frequency values, which is L2. So I'm going to enter there L2. Okay. So that means what? That means automatically it will calculate your cumulative frequency by using the frequency from L2. So just enter. You see now it's automatically populated, right, from your frequency. So it is starting from 2. Remember, I don't have 0 here because the 0 is not there in your frequency distribution table. That's what it is not showing up, the first value, but doesn't matter. We will draw the picture for this. Okay. So starting with 2, 10, 28, 41, 48, 49, and 50. Yes, I got all the cumulative values correctly. Now I'm going to draw the ogive. Remember, to draw ogive, you need to have L3 column and L1 column, right? So that means you need to have your X values as L1. So to draw ogive, let me write down here for ogive, choose your L1 as X values and L3 as your Y value. Remember, this is my cumulative frequency. I'm using C dot F. Okay, so now we need to know these two values. Okay, so let's go to the step plot again. Again, go to plot one, and I'm going to do now the cumulative ogive. So I'm going to use again the second type. Okay, so choose second type, and now you have to move to X list is L1. Fine, my Y list is now not L2, it is L3 now, so I need to change that to L3. Okay, so that's it. So now if you graph, so you are not getting all the points here. That means you need to set your windows. You need to zoom out. So if you zoom out, so you will get the picture on. So you can play around somewhere here to get the on the exact picture. So since the display is very small, you will not see the picture in clear way.